on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. This is the state of wrestling, and that is Jake fucking DeMarco. What's going on, bud?
What's going on? Busy week upcoming. Busy week it's been. I mean, just tons and tons of shows coming up.
We
you've
kind of
been
get a weekend off, and then we pay for it the following weekend.
yeah with a 4-pack of shows. Now the weekend following, but it's just been since WrestleMania feels like nonstop in a way.
Yeah, I like the jam-packed weekends. I know a lot of people are calling it counter programming and whatever, but it's really like watch what you like, and no matter what you like, there's something for you that day.
Exactly.
Is that just me being like super simplistic?
No, because I mean, you got Will Ospreay out there today, basically pushing for more tribalism, and yeah, it. Where's his exact tweet here? He's like, "We smoke them in every field of wrestling, like we're just better. I respect every single one of them. They all know what they're doing. They're great at their job. We're just better. They're understanding getting people on their feet, but we are so much better of a wrestling company than them." Yeah,
I mean, that's
I know it's a matter of
I get, I
perspective
get,
and
I get, I
choice,
get where
but
he's going, and I'm not going to touch on this too much because, guys, spoiler alert: we're going to be in your ear holes twice this week, as long as life doesn't come and kick my friend in the face tomorrow night. This pod is going to be relatively positive. It's going to be incredibly out of date by about 3 days, but it's going to be relatively positive.
yeah.
Tomorrow's episode, I'll let you know right now, is going to be called "Everybody's an Asshole." So you guys
Ooh,
can imagine what kind of stuff we're going to talk about tomorrow. I have intentionally not given the topics to Jake, so it's going to be very instant reaction, rapid fire type stuff. But I will say for Osprey, because he's not one of the ones I'm talking about tomorrow, I find him to be a really interesting person, like interview to interview.
yeah,
I've seen where he's basically team AEW, and I get that to a certain degree. We've got Seth Rollins who does a very similar thing a
yeah,
lot of the time to balance out that conversation a little bit. But I've seen where he's like done the dig, done the very broad, I think we're better than them.
yeah.
But then kind of like the Kenny thing, he'll like single out specific people in WWE. It's like, look what this guy's doing. They're lucky to have him. They've given him this awesome stage. Everything he did just kicked ass, or everything she did just kicked ass. I think he went out of his way to praise what everybody praised was the triple threat women's match from WrestleMania. So he's an interesting one. I enjoy Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
And part of his character on TV is he's a little bit of a dick, but like the babyface version of a little bit of a dick. Um, so when that comes out in interviews, it's like, fine, maybe that's just how he is. But I've seen him do both. I've seen him take the digs, and I've seen him come around the other side, the respectful route. So I think he's balanced, and I think even the negative stuff that he says, it depends on how forgiving you want to be that day. But
I
I
know
think there
there's
is
layers to
a
it. Certainly, I know
yeah,
he means well at certain times, but other times
yeah,
he's purposely poking the bear and trying to fight with the tribalism folks online. Because you could say we're doing great without saying we're doing better. And that's kind of the thing.
yeah,
So anytime WWE does something, it's petty, but anytime they do it, it's allowed. It's a very
yeah.
odd thing.
No,
I mean, you
no,
got
I get
Ricochet
where you're coming from.
and Javon going back and forth arguing with each other on Twitter. And
Not touching that one.
not
We're
calling
gonna
somebody's
yeah,
boss a
yeah.
crackhead doesn't help much, but the
No,
the
no.
the point is still the same. It's like they're coming after NXT, but that's intended to be developmental. They're like, "Oh, how many
Yep,
people are in the performance center?" But yet you have Osprey wrestling in front of 900 people here
yep,
when it's supposed to be 4,000 in this building alone, and
yep.
so, I mean, there's levels to it. Oh, well, you're only able to do what you do in front of the performance center. Meanwhile, you have Stand and Deliver selling out. Meanwhile, you have,
Of course,
it's
yeah.
like, so it's just a very it's not that it's all
Yeah,
lies,
but
but it's a very
I
like
will say
mistaken way of
like
looking at things.
I want to keep that comparison fair though, because I wouldn't compare Stand and Deliver to a regular episode of Dynamite the same way I wouldn't compare a regular episode of NXT to whatever they do at All In.
Yeah,
I get where you're coming from, and there's a lot of it coming up with the growing numbers of people coming to like TNA. But
yeah,
again, there's that, oh well, they're working with WWE now, so let's downplay it as much as possible.
no
But
doubt.
I'm just saying, like, of all the people that come out and take their shots and whatever, and as I say, we're gonna dig down on the Javon Ricochet thing tomorrow. But when you see somebody like Ricochet, and then by comparison, you see somebody like Will Ospreay, yeah, Will Ospreay's gotten his digs in, but he's done it in kind of a sporting way. He's done it in the I've said this, come on, somebody else say something type of
Yeah.
idea. I don't get the feeling that he's speaking from pettiness, and I don't get the feeling that he's going for blood. And both of those things are important.
Yeah, certainly. And
As
I don't
as we've
know.
seen with the Kenny Omega stuff, where he just basically shoots down the tribal shit, full stop, in support of the tribal chief, ironically enough.
Yeah. I mean, you
But
just
if I
look already
can,
like look at certain people being handled and how they're being taken care of. I mean, AAA has some huge stars down there that are very over, and they
yep,
also have some talent that we don't care too much for. So it kind of goes
yep,
both ways there.
yep,
I'm just curious to see, how they handle these certain megastars like Laparca, like, you know what I mean? Because you've
yep,
got a lot of big to do coming in, and that's one of the things they've done well. Like if you look at Stephanie and Julia, and
yep,
they've brought people, even Penta, you could say he's a
yep.
huge deal. He's much bigger than where he ever was, certainly
Here's where my
before.
here's where my curiosity kicks in, though, right? Is we've seen Stephanie and Julia and Penta and Phoenix and the long list of people that chose WWE instead.
Yes.
But they're in WWE now, right? As somebody who's never seen a AAA show in my life, when they do this combo show, they're doing this Worlds Collide thing. I don't want to see necessarily a bunch of AEW or sorry, a AAA, sorry, people on just shoved onto a WWE show. I want it to be a shared thing. I want it to give me a micro idea of what a AAA show has to offer now with more money and support and whatever, because it's going to set me up for what I'm thinking going forward when we get to Triple Mania, which I've also never seen before, brand new to me. Um, it's kind of like when you see a wrestler and somebody's like, "Oh, I saw them wrestle here, 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 and here." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome. You probably know way more about them than I do." I used to go to Guapo for stuff like this quite a bit. The
Yeah.
Athena, Ember Moon example is always the one I go to. Hey, this chick Athena is coming to NXT. What do I need to know? She's kick ass. She's basically female Finn Balor, and she does a stunner from the top rope. Cool. Don't tell me anything else. I'm gonna see when she shows up. I'm treating the entire AAA brand like that. Show me a little in the Worlds Collide, because that should be a melding of WWE and AAA styles, and then it's your this is a really confrontational way to say it, but it's your job at Worlds Collide to make me more interested than I already am about checking out my first Triple Mania.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And
I
there's
was
a
there.
lot to look forward to. Honestly, there is.
all kinds
And
all kinds of fun stuff on the horizon. But before we look forward, we got to look back. Like I say, podcast is incredibly out of date because that's just how the recording schedule goes. But we had Backlash on the weekend, and I watched Backlash at about 3 in the morning because I was coming back from Northern Rising, which we previewed along with Backlash. Um, I don't know which one you want to talk about. Like MLP, I'm just going to tell you, I had a bunch of fun with this, and I had a bunch of fun with this, and I had a bunch of fun with this, and I missed the pre-show, which is a bummer because I'm reading the Wikipedia now, and Von Vertigo and El Reverso were both in that match.
that
That,
would have been fun to
that's a
see.
bummer. Um, Anybody who's heard me talk about Destiny, check off Spaz Phoenix bucket list. It's fine. You've heard me talk a lot about El Diablo, Gabriel Fuerza. Von Vertigo has very typically been his tag team partner,
Yeah.
uh, along with El Reverso, who's another fun one that I spoke quite a bit on the pre-show, and a bunch of people I don't know: Bryce Hanson, Raj Singh, Rohan Raja, and Amir Jordan in this big six-person tag that I didn't see.
Yeah.
Josh Alexander versus QT Marshall. Can I say this was exactly what I thought it was going to be? This was Josh Alexander doing Josh Alexander things, and QT Marshall is great at being a dweeb and getting his ass kicked.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Lots and lots and lots of fun. Josh Alexander, and I've said this, Josh Alexander was just, I mentioned this last week, but Josh Alexander, right as I started going to Destiny shows, he was like just becoming the guy. At the time, I said he was sort of becoming Destiny's AJ Styles.
mhm.
And even when I saw him in Destiny, I mean, obviously it's in a very small building. It's in what used to be Santino Morella's gym, Battle Arts Academy, which is lovingly referred to as the Don Koloff Arena, but it's a gym.
Yeah.
So everything's up close and personal, even if you're in the back row. There's something about Josh Alexander, and it's not even his style particularly. He reminds me of Cesaro a lot in the fact that he's big, but not in the way that you say, or not in the way that you picture big when I say big. He's like tall, lean, strong as a motherfucker. I've seen him chuck around some big dudes. QT Marshall doing some comedy stuff, doing the whole like I'm going to do a handspring elbow and it's going to come back and get you, but it's going to look about as good as a handspring elbow from Chris Jericho. And so that was a lot. That was a lot of fun. And as I say, even looking around in the crowd, being at the Maple Leaf Gardens was awesome. Haven't been there since a NXT house show back in 2017.
Oh wow, yeah.
So it's only the second time I've ever been there. Ran into somebody else at the show that was also at that show, so that was a lot of fun. We talked about the farewell tour of Bobby Roode as he was going up to the main roster, and going up to the main roster back then was very much the "oh my god, we hardly knew you. Good luck, don't die" type
Yeah.
of thing.
Please don't kill yourself. You don't need to die yet.
But other than that, like as I looked around the crowd, like I don't know people by name. I kind of know people by face that go to the Destiny shows because it's a lot of the same people. It was like being at a giant Destiny show.
Yeah. Oh,
I will say
absolutely.
though, points off, points off, ring level ramp.
I did see that
We're
from
we're
you, and that is
we're
one
we're,
little
we're not
discouragement.
having it. We're
And we
not
don't usually
having it.
talk gaming too, but while you're talking about like, crowds and whatnot, one of the things I wanted to make note of is that today WWE 2K25 released a patch where they added
Yep.
crowd reactions to some of their entrances. Like the crowd now sings
Nice.
Cody's song at the start, so it feels more
Nice.
like an actual live show. And that's one of the things that, they're keeping to upgrade that feel, like you said, being
Yep.
there in front of it all, you still get
I
sucked
saw
into it
something.
no matter what.
I saw something. Somebody posted from, I think it might have been from SmackDown, like during the commercial or something like that. But the same way they do for Cody, the same way they do for Randy Orton now, they were singing the Miz's theme.
Right? How cool is
And
that?
I've always kind of liked the Miz's theme. Like it's you can't think of it as a song because you have such a connection to it as the Miz's theme. But the person who tweeted the video out was like, "Oh, these fuckers will just sing along with anything, eh?" And I just responded and I was like, "So what I'm hearing is a very pleasantly served audience is engaged and involved with the entertainment that they paid money to see.
Yeah.
I don't see the problem."
Neither do I. It's pretty
Yep,
damn
I
incredible.
really don't. And I'm not taking a dig, but it's just like, oh my god, I can't believe these people will play along with anything. You mean they're having fun?
Yeah.
They are
They're enjoying
satisfied. They
themselves.
are I wish I could come up with a better word than satisfied, but like they're satisfied with their form of entertainment to the
Exactly.
point that they are engaged and participatory. Anyways, I just thought that's a weird hill to die on. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe he's singing his song. If you do something cool, we'll sing your song too.
Yeah, because it's funny you said that
Um,
because I literally have the clip right here of the Miz being, sung to, and it's just
nice.
crazy. I came to
It's
play, and you got
it's
everybody just
pretty cool,
yelling and
man.
screaming. I
It's
love it.
pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. You know what else is pretty cool? I take a lot of shots at Jonathan Gresham. I do. He's the booster seat kid, and there are a couple of booster seat chants at the show.
I was gonna say those are tiny shots.
Oh dear. But in all fairness, Jonathan Gresham's Zack Sabre Jr. was fucking phenomenal.
Oh, how can
And
it
it
not have
was
been? Sure, certainly.
but it was like people are gonna shoot me for saying this. It was the good version of boring. Not a lot of high spots, not a lot of even like fast action on the mat. Just everything was a transition to this to that. They did 4 or 5 times in the match where they grappled themselves to a dead heat, broke off, handshake. And
Yeah,
then I think on the fourth time Zack Sabre went for a handshake and basically Gresham like kicked his hand away. But that was the closest thing to a striking match it ever got. The whole thing was a grappling classic. And it was
gotcha.
one of those I get why people find the brawls, the high flying stuff, the more WWE like mix of styles. Some people have the martial arts style, like a Bailey or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and although they're shitty people, I do get why people like the Bucks style of things. It's very, very fireworks, ooh shiny, that kind of thing. And there's a place for that.
Yeah.
This was especially for me. I was about 3 rows behind the ring, and to see all the like the little intricate stuff, very very much like the Josh Alexander match as well. Not that there was as much technical because QT was very much being character. Obviously came out in
Yeah.
Stars and Stripes because of the whole Canada America
Of course.
thing, which was prevalent throughout the night.
Oh, I'm
Let me
sure.
tell you, Jesus Christ.
Never has
um
there been such a divide as recently between Americans and Canadians, huh?
Yeah, but it's
Ah.
still not as bad as when I was at Chamber and the poor girl that sang the American anthem got booed
Oh,
and
got
had the most horrendous shit chanted at her. I'm like, come on, guys, I get it, but like, also don't be a dick.
exactly.
Um, but it's very much like when I talked about the Josh Alexander match a second ago. I used to say this about Pete Dunne a lot, right? Pete Dunne's not for everybody. I know a lot of people find Pete Dunne's style like the slow joint manipulation, like popping the fingers and all that. I can see why people find it boring, but there's very much I'm gonna sit down and watch a Pete Dunne match when I'm in the mood for a Pete Dunne match.
Gotcha, yeah.
Josh Alexander is another wrestler like that for me, and I haven't watched enough Jonathan Gresham, and I've only seen Zack Sabre Jr. maybe 5 times in my life, but already even with that disconnect, this was still that kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm just in the mood for this, and it was like watching like the old cliche, like, oh, it's a wrestling chess match. It was like it was a
Well,
lot of
especially the way the
fun.
MLP is structured too, because they're using talent from obviously other promotions. It's not their own
Yeah,
full roster. I guess that was kind
yeah,
of the point I was getting at initially, because here you're having people from different rosters, different backgrounds,
oh yeah.
different independents get together to put on this MLP show, and there's no problems. And it's like, yeah, you can go after WWE, you can go after AEW, vice versa. But I feel like every AEW wrestler lately hasn't been like, we're doing this or that or we're great. It's always we're putting down WWE. They have like
Yep.
the constant cry of, oh, we're victims, we're dealing with
Mhm.
tribalism and toxicity and the big bad WWE. But yet the only attention they get
This is
is when they
why,
mention it.
but you know what? Like, remember the old John Cena thing, right?
Yes.
And he used this way too much in promos for a babyface, right?
Any
But like
reaction?
he would look at somebody like the Miz, and he's like, look around the building, right? Some of them are cheering me, some of them are booing me. None of them are talking about you.
Yeah.
WWE is kind of in that position right now. Some of you love us, some of you hate us, but nobody's talking about AEW. And the whole thing about AEW, and this is not a dig,
Mhm.
but it's not.
Yeah, no.
It's a constructive criticism if I thought they could take constructive criticism. If you only focus on WWE, which you're not going to catch up to, that's not an insult. It's just look where we are right now. If you only focus on bashing WWE, TNA is going to sneak up and fuck you in the ass.
Mhm.
It
No
really,
doubt
really
about
is.
it. You nailed it.
It really, really
How
is.
do I say more than that?
Anyways, well, we don't say more than that because there's going to be more of that tomorrow night. Tune back in. Serena Deeb versus Miyu Yamashita. All jokes about the last name aside, again, technical as fuck. Back to back. I don't know much about Miyu Yamashita. Strikes hard as fuck. Serena Deeb, we know what we're getting with Serena Deeb. She makes everybody look like $1,000,000, and she won, so that's a thing.
Yeah.
Um, great match.
I
I
figured it
don't
would
really
be
know
pretty much
what
as I
else to say.
expected. Yeah, I kind of how we called it. We're like, oh, it'll be a definite good match. I mean, she's not going to deliver anything that's not worthwhile.
Yep. And as I say, I don't want to say treat it like an appetizer type thing. Not, I'm very familiar with Serena Deeb. I'm not so familiar with Miyu Yamashita. So this was an exhibition for me to see more of what she can do. And it's one of those, okay, I've seen enough. I want to see more type
Yeah,
of things.
absolutely.
Bullet Club versus the what are they? The Bullet Club, sorry, the Bullet Club War Dogs versus the Good Brothers, and the Good Brothers are coming out all in white and talking all churchy and whatever, and
Oh,
actually
really?
being the
The
Good
good?
Brothers.
Yeah.
It's real. And they kind of pounded on each other, and they were both, all four of them were dicks, and the match was out of control, and they very quickly brawled to the back, and they're gonna have another match when MLP goes to Montreal,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, that was a thing that happened.
Yeah, I mean, kind of a bit lackluster there, but hey, it worked for the
You know what, it
show.
wasn't though, because it was a little, for everything else that was sort of by the numbers, very sports oriented, very like I say, like the wrestling part of wrestling. A little bit of sports entertainment, a little bit of, four guys wanted to get their hands on each other enough. One of the guys, and I don't know whether it was Finley or the other guy, every time they were going around the ring to try and cut somebody off, because the ring level ramp was there, he did this thing where he like would roll up onto the ramp and do a slow roll over the ramp and then continue running around. It was
Yeah.
like a video game where you hit quicksand for a second.
Yeah, and you just
Very
get
entertaining,
slowed down. Yeah, but
and
that's funny, see?
a lot of character stuff. Seeing, I don't think I've ever seen Luke Gallows in person before. Dude's a beast. Like, what do you want me to say?
Yeah.
Carl Anderson's really fun to watch. The two of them play off each other like two guys that have been playing off each other for as long as they have. That was really redundant. It is what it is.
When
I've
you're a
seen
tag
David
team and
Finlay.
you're together at that point, you haven't turned
Yeah,
on each other. It's basically
they
just
really, and I don't want to be, making comparisons to those that have passed on, because it's a really, really cheesy thing to do. They really are national, like attitude wise, presentation wise, the way they bounce off of each other. They really are the modern Nash and Hall.
yeah.
And I can appreciate that, because they I think they know it, but they don't double down on it, and they've taken that and made it their own. There's a long-standing conversation to have in wrestling about, the little guy big guy team, and Carl Anderson ain't that little, but fucking look at Luke Gallows.
Yeah.
So lots of
Exactly.
fun. Brawl to the back gave us a little bit more of a chaotic thing after some very straightforward, here's your winner, here's your loser type matches. Didn't see Tom Latimer versus Stu Grayson, because I was up getting um looking at merch. Got myself a hat, because of course I did. Doesn't fit my head because I got a fat head. It's fine, don't worry about it. They don't have t-shirts big enough for me. Please order some t-shirts for your fat fans out there. Some of us are not small. That's all I'm saying. Had some very good pretzels. Doesn't contribute to the whole why the t-shirts don't fit me thing. But I basically missed the majority of the NWA World Heavyweight Championship match. And I mean, I'm sorry, like no disrespect to Stu Grayson, but I don't know anything about Tom Latimer, and I don't have any connection to the NWA World Championship, so it is what it is.
Hey, you
Speedball
know
Mike
what?
Bailey.
It's worth going and getting some food and some shirts and stuff.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
you gotta
yeah.
you gotta refuel at some
It's
point.
weird for people that have not been in the Maple Leaf Gardens, right? And I had to find this out the last time I was there, fucking 8 years ago. Is you're not walking in and going into, which is what I'm used to,
Yeah.
is you're going in and you're going up 2 floors to even get to the ice rink layer or levels. It's like 2 stories up. And then from there, you're going up 2 more stories so that you enter the seats from the top and then go down to your seat. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going up 4 stories to come back down two. And it's very snaky. And there's sort of a catwalk that goes along the back. Anybody that's seen what I put up on X or on Facebook, there's a couple of pictures that look like I'm shooting through a window.
Yeah.
It's because I'm shooting through a window. Let's be real for a second. But it was a nice overview of what the place looked like. The place looked really nice layout wise, super simple. Very much the indie equivalent of what we've said about the WWE small screen flex. Small screen, like I say, the ring level ramp is never something I'm going to be on board with. But we had what's her name, Jade Chung, on commentary, who is the real life wife of Josh Alexander.
Yes.
She's done ring announcing for Destiny before. I've had the chance to chat with her before.
Yeah,
She's
you said she's
super
incredibly
nice.
nice, so
She's super nice, and she's really good at like like being in the ring and getting people like, maybe cheer a little more, guys, or whatever, or we're just coming out of a video, so now's the time to cheer, or whatever the case may be. But also, like, they used to do at Destiny like some I don't know whether you want to call it like vox pop things or whatever, but like while we were waiting outside, battle arts, while people were lined up or whatever, she would go up and down the line and like, what are you looking forward to tonight? What are you looking forward to tonight? And it would all go on like Instagram or whatever to advertise the show. She's really good just being out amongst them,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
Just being
And
one of the
and like I
one of
said,
the fans,
she
one of the
tried she
guys, one
tried
of
to
the
tell she
people.
tried to tell a story about the first time that she went, I think, to a wrestling show in Toronto and ended up accidentally calling it Madison Square Garden.
Oops. That'll
And she got like 5 seconds of a really friendly booing before we went back to cheering her. So
That's
that
funny.
was it's like the Hulk Hogan in the Superdome.
Yeah.
But no, she's really good, and she adds to the show for sure. Sam Laterna was in the back doing backstage interviews. That was really, really, really fun. But getting back to the matches, obviously, Speedball Mike Bailey versus Gabe Kidd versus Michael Oku. Michael Oku, I didn't know anything about. Michael Oku is a piece of fucking dynamite. I would like to
Yeah.
see more of Michael Oku. Speedball got the win. Gabe Kidd twice throughout the match grabbed the microphone and just started like basically shitting on Toronto, shitting on Canada, calling Canada Little Britain. It was all right, and it was one of those. It was one of those things where okay, he's doing the heel thing to get the heel pop or whatever. But again, it's like with all the stuff right now between Canada and the States, I was like, okay, we're doing like hometown evil villain thing from somewhere else. It's
Yeah.
different enough that I don't have to roll my eyes and I can actually have fun with the fiction. Whereas something else I'm going to talk about in a second was even funnier because I know the guy.
Go figure.
Yeah, it is what it is. I'm a little bit biased. No, Gabe Kidd I've never seen before. He was trucking everybody. Speedball, I really enjoy. I've enjoyed him since, say the line, Spaz, since I saw him in Destiny. Michael Oku, I've never seen before. Definitely want to see more of him. Very speed versus power versus striking in equal measure. And like I say, a little like CM Punk grab the microphone in the middle of the Royal Rumble energy
Yeah.
with that. And so that was really good as well. As I say, give me some people I don't know fighting somebody I do know. It goes right back up to the Serena Deeb and Miyu Yamashita thing at the beginning of the freaking card. We crowned our first ever MLP Women's Canadian Champion, and it is Giselle Shaw. Giselle Shaw defeated Kylie Rae. We said it in the preview. There's this match, and there's the ladies' match earlier on in the night. You got the super, super technical veteran match up there, and then you got this one that's a little bit more character driven. Giselle Shaw is a hell of a character.
Yeah.
And when you're a hell of a character, you need a hell of a manager.
No doubt about it. You do
She
indeed.
was she was managed by George Iceman.
Ah.
She was announced to the ring by George Iceman.
Go figure.
And he talked to this is the guy that used to run Destiny, coming down, playing the American, saying he's happy to visit the 51st state. The whole fucking shtick.
Yeah.
More
Just
people.
sticking with it and
I
going through
kind of
it.
feel. I kind of feel bad because he's not the wrestlers in the ring. A lot of people were paying more attention to him than the match for the first couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And I've never seen Kylie Rae live either. I really like Kylie Rae. I think she's fun to watch. The energy, the whole bit, right? The very, very, very loose comparisons to like early Bailey with the smiley, happy-go-lucky character and all that kind of thing. I hate being that close when that much stuff doesn't connect. And I was like, oh, just look away. Just pretend that it hit. And I'm not saying that I can't do what they do. I'm saying this with as much respect as I can muster. It's not, oh my God, you fucked up. It's just, oh, I wish I hadn't seen that
Yeah,
type
exactly.
stuff. I wish I hadn't caught that. But Giselle Shaw with the Women's Canadian Championship. And I don't know if you've seen, I might have to send the pictures to you later on. The Women's and Men's Championships for MLP, the new ones that were just unveiled on Saturday, are the most Canadian things you've ever seen in your life. Bright white and red, bright maple leaves on it, friggin' outlines of the country on the side plates, like Canada threw up on these belts, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but holy damn, Giselle Shaw, she won. Uh, the personal concierge got kicked out. Big, you're out of here from the ref, and he sells it because he's good at
Yeah.
being a goofball.
You got to get the hell out of there.
I'm gonna double down on it every single time. Every time I see Iceman playing an asshole on TV or in person in this case, I go back to he's a really nice guy, and that makes it funny. Um, but the gauntlet for the gold for the inaugural MLP, not the inaugural, but I should say the current iteration of the MLP championship, because it used to be MLW, Maple Leaf Wrestling. They can't do that anymore because there is an MLW, so now it's MLP.
Yeah.
But I think the last MLW, this version of MLW champion, held the belt back in the 80s.
Oh, really?
They did a little bit of historical stuff about when MLP first started, and it was like in the 30s. So if you watch an MLP show, there's a lot of like history lesson type stuff, like little video clips here and there, which is really cool. You can tell, what's his name? Scott D'Amore has taken this on his shoulders, but he doesn't want it to be this thing that started 6 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. He wants
Which is really cool. Which is really, really cool. But yeah, so long story short, Josh Alexander is your champion, and I'm like,
good choice.
If it wasn't gonna be Bishop Dyer, like Josh Alexander is like the king of Canada. When in like the wrestling context, it's like, okay, I was kind of pulling for Bishop Dyer. I thought that would have been really cool. The gauntlet in this case, yeah, the gauntlet in this case was not a gauntlet like we would see in WWE, where it's like, okay, when you beat one person, the next person comes in. When you beat one person, the next person comes in. It was very much a Royal Rumble, but when you get down to the last two people, then it's just a regular match.
Yeah.
And it came down to Josh Alexander and Matt Cardona.
Oh, wow. So
that was a lot of fun.
It's Matt Cardona's birthday today, too, so happy birthday.
Oh, fantastic. Matt Cardona came out American as fuck. Like his ring gear, that, the ring gear that says like always ready. For this particular show, he had gear that said always USA. So we were not being subtle at all with any of this. Wanna mention some of the other people that were in this match: PCO, Rhino, Billy Gunn, El Phantasmo, Raj Desi. I forgot that Raj Desi is Jinder Mahal.
Yeah, right. Because of the name
QT
change.
QT Marshall was back for the match the same way Josh Alexander was back for the match. Rich Swann, Psycho Mike, Bishop Dyer, Sheldon Jean, Bhupinder Gujjar, Johnny Swinger, Michael Allen, Richard Clark, who lasted about 2 seconds. Let me be real for a second.
That
Alex
wasn't gonna
Zane,
happen.
who did some stuff. Mo Jabari, Rohan Raja, Brett Banks, and El Reverso. El Reverso wasn't in the match. I don't know why they have it on here like that. El Reverso was in the opening match. A couple of really fun things here. PCO got a huge pop. Obviously, he's being heavily used to promote the show in Montreal for obvious reasons. He's putting his what's it called, like worldwide wrestling championship or whatever it is on the line. So he was attacked by a giant dude that I don't know who he was, but he's managed by not Joey Janela.
Hell's his name?
Jimmy Jacobs.
Jimmy Jacobs. There we go.
Yeah. So that happened. There was a fireball. There was a choking with a belt, and they beat the shit out of PCO until he was eliminated. When I say back to back, we got Rhino and Billy Gunn, and they stared down each other. And I sent the same message to you. I sent the same message to the guys over the Wrestling for Life Network. I think I put it in the chat as well. I'm like, okay, it's a battle royal, and we've got Billy Gunn and Rhino in the match. What the fuck year is it? But then, one of the coolest stories of the whole thing.
We got out of the time machine.
I love... No, very much still in the time machine. Psycho Mike, this pale, scrawny dude that I've never seen before. If Psycho Mike is somehow listening to this, I'm sorry, but you were standing next to Rhino and Billy Gunn. Apparently his thing is the body slam. because as soon as he was announced down to the ring, everybody in that building who knew who he was started chanting body slam. He tried to body slam Rhino.
Tried.
And it didn't work. And he tried to slam Billy Gunn, and it didn't work. And he stood between the two of them and just looked really sad and disappointed, like comedically sad. And Rhino and Billy Gunn just took a moment and gave him a hug and told him it was okay.
Oh,
And
that's
it was
great.
like, yeah, it's a good show. And then like later on, when more people were in, he had a fire up spot. He body slammed a bunch of people, eventually got back around to Rhino, did get the slam. Billy Gunn did get the slam, and like full circle thing that happened in like probably about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What else was there? QT Marshall and Josh Alexander like sort of reinvigorated the match within the match. So that was something. Rich Swann lasted a long ass time, did
Yeah.
cool Rich Swann stuff. Bishop Dyer got a pop out of me.
I mean, Rich Swann is
not
he's always been damn
he's
good.
solid, yeah.
He just doesn't have a ton of charisma, I feel like. It was always like he's there, he wrestles well, but he doesn't stand out.
Well,
badly.
he was on Saturday.
Oh,
Like
he's usually always
very
on. That's the
exuberant,
thing.
very exuberant. Yeah, like but no, but he was getting people in. He was really getting people in. Bishop Dyer, the former Baron Corbin, was there. I popped huge for the face to face between him and Josh Alexander, but he didn't win. We said going into it that like they were initially announced for the Battle Royal, but then QT and Josh had their own match announced, so I didn't know whether that took them out of the Battle Royal. As soon as Josh had the first match, was a bit banged up, and said, "Oh, I'm gonna go on later on tonight. I'm not gonna play the tired game or whatever, and I'm gonna win the championship." As soon as I realized he was in the Battle Royal, I'm like, he's winning.
Yeah, he's
Like
got this.
he's the king of Canadian wrestling. He's going to win this.
He'll get the
When it
biggest
got down,
reaction.
but when it got down to him and Matt Cardona, and Matt Cardona was being super America, there was a bit of me that was like, are they gonna do like the biggest heat angle ever here and put it on Cardona? Because it was one of
They
those
coulda.
like I was so sure it was Josh, and then for a split second, but what if it was Matt? And then so it was a lot of fun. He's there with the belt. I saw him ascend to the Destiny title. I saw him ascend now to the MLP title. Kind of bummed that he's in AEW, but if we're gonna see him ascend to one of the mid card titles in AEW, I'll still cheer him. I don't have to like AEW to say like Josh Alexander's awesome and should have all the belts. If there's any wrestler out there that could like based on legitimacy start doing a belt collector gimmick,
Yeah.
Josh Alexander's a good shout. Speaking of Josh Alexander, we had Don Callis on commentary. We had Mauro Ranallo on commentary. Once in a while, the commentary would actually kick in like over the speakers.
Yeah.
For at random times for random reasons. So you got a bit of Mauro Ranallo, which is always good. Mauro also voiced most of the video packages and like hype up videos and the historical stuff as well. So that was really cool. Please, everybody use more of Mauro Ranallo. A lot of fun. A
Yeah.
lot of fun. I will be tuning in to their next show, which is Resurrection, which is in Montreal. I don't have a date. Unfortunately, because I didn't write it down. But when I get a date, I will talk about it some more, and maybe we can preview it somewhere down the line. Now,
Would be nice.
what I'm sure a lot more people are talking about, because there's the Canadian company and then there's the world company. Sorry, guys, but we're switching gears. Backlash.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We had a good show. I mean, it was a B level
okay,
show, and it was fun.
it was the
And
biggest. And again, this is one of those things that's a weird thing. Oh well, yeah. Well, this was just a show for WWE fans. Yeah, because it's a WWE
like every
show.
show, obviously,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I
How dare
mean,
they cater to the fans that have paid to see them?
they had three
Um,
mid card titles on the line. That was a lot of the focus, which is a good thing because those
yep.
kind of get put in the wayside most often. And then obviously
Yep.
we had the main event, which was kind of how we expected it to go.
Yeah.
And the Pat McAfee Gunther match was a nice surprise for those not expecting anything good from Pat.
Yeah. I think the Gunther Pat thing was awesome. He gets the little nod from Gunther, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, why is he bowing to Pat. He's not bowing to Pat. Here's this guy who he didn't think could do anything, and he did something.
Yeah,
Like, that's
exactly.
the end of it. Dominic Mysterio, again, guys, you got to keep in mind, I was watching this story at like 3 a.m. So my memory of everything isn't totally what it should be. Obviously, the takeaway from the first match is Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre are going to continue their feud, and Solo's brought in what's his name, Jeff Cobb,
Jeff Cobb. So that
who
was
trucked
quite a
everybody.
yeah, that was an interesting interesting turn of events. I wasn't expecting anyone else to debut yet, but it works, it fits, and they're just going to add more members to the dead yet new bloodline.
Is it? I don't know how to say this. Has WWE done a pretty good job? And my opinion's kind of constantly changing on it. Right? They have whoever they introduce. It has to be not like the last one, and not like the last one, and not like the last one. I think for every scalp that we get from AEW, there has
Yeah,
to be somebody that's brand new as well, or somebody that's returning, or somebody that was never there before. Like a Ricky Starks showing up in NXT is entirely different than Aleister Black returning to SmackDown. You know,
absolutely.
you Ricky Starks just walked onto the stage one day. Aleister Black got all the Smoky Black previews. Jeff Cobb just shows up on the pay-per-view on the night. I think they are avoiding. Do you remember that period in TNA where every 3 or 4 weeks there was like somebody that had just been fired from WWE? Okay, we got another
Yeah,
one.
that
We
they
got
would
another.
bring
We
them
got another one.
into, yeah.
Crank it in, crank it in, crank it in.
Aaron
Uh,
Rex.
yeah, but like every show they felt like they had to give you another surprise. And it's like, okay, if you're already on to the next surprise, then I guess the last surprise last week didn't mean very much.
Yeah.
They don't do that very much these days. They let you
No.
know on any given pay-per-view somebody could show up. Um, but
And they did the thing with
yeah,
Michael Cole again. Oh, one of the biggest free agents and the worst kept secret, that whole kind of thing.
yeah,
And it's like, yeah, okay. I mean, we knew he
because
was
they're
coming
acknowledging that people
eventually,
know. They're
which is
not
good. I
like
appreciate it.
they're
But
they're they're they have to balance out the oh my god, this is big news without pretending that the fans haven't been hearing this on the dirt sheets for 6 months. And I
exactly.
think doing it with Michael Cole, a lot of people hate that like there's so much respect for Michael Cole now, and oh my god, why do we see Michael Cole as this big symbol of whatever? And it's like, okay, quick pause. What's FTR doing with Tony Schiavone right now?
Yeah. Same deal,
Like if I hear somebody say that commentators getting involved period is cheesy, and the Tony Schiavone stuff is cheesy, and the Michael Cole stuff is cheesy, I'm like, cool, then that kind of thing's just not for you. As soon as you draw the line of delineation, I'm like, cool, I know what side you're on.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of what comes down to is where you're fans of, essentially.
Yep.
But for this, I don't want to say it fell flat because it didn't, but it was a bit of an anticlimactic reveal. It was like, hey, he's here. Jacob retains. Okay.
Mhm.
But it didn't really seem like Fatu needed the help in the match, really. Like
See, that's what I think is brilliant about it. And I might be going crazy, and it might be one of those things where I'm giving WWE too much credit. The story is not Solo helping Jacob. Because everybody's saying, oh, well, Solo's
yeah.
trying to help Jacob to suck up to him and whatever so that they can stay on good terms. I think it's the opposite. I think Solo's trying to discredit
Yeah,
Jacob.
yeah, I think so too. It's more keep your friends close and your enemies closer kind of idea that they're going with.
No, because how awesome would it be if Jacob went in by himself as a steamroller, as he was basically doing, and takes out 3 guys?
Yeah.
But if every win he gets is tainted with, well, Solo helped you, well, Jacob helped you, Jeff helped you,
Yeah.
or Tomatonga helped you. That's why you see Jacob keep saying, I don't want the help, I don't need the help, I'm going to run my own play. I think Solo is trying to pull credit away from Jacob,
Yeah, and he's
and
being
that's what's gonna.
defiant too by just simply
Yeah,
helping when told not to. And it's like, "Oh, but you
yeah.
won." But he's like, "But I didn't need you." So we get that.
So what you're doing is you're stealing the win from me.
Yeah.
not stealing the win because he still won, but stealing the credit of the win.
Exactly what I was
Like,
trying to get at by saying,
yeah,
he's helping him when he doesn't need the help. So he's
yeah.
being pushy in his own right. Yeah.
So I think in a way, like by helping him, he's downplaying him, which like for a character like Jacob Fatu is probably like the worst insult.
I mean,
Like, let me be a monster. Like, I'm not a monster if I need help. Let me be a monster by myself.
yeah, and he keeps saying that he doesn't need the help to get through.
Yep.
So
But I mean, separate from that, we hear the stories of what is it, Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. They did the spot off the box in the crowd area. Apparently one or both of them is under concussion supervision protocol,
I
whatever
thought
the
it was
case may
just
be.
the one, but yeah,
They,
because
you
it
know
was
what
a
it is?
rough landing.
Yeah, because they both took the fall. Even if it was only one that's got a concussion or maybe has a concussion, just supervise them both just to be on the super safe side. Like, we're not in the era where, oh, just rub some dirt on it and like, nah. Like, you've got a jacked roster that's only getting bigger. You've got the time and the flexibility to say, you know what? After 2 weeks, you should be okay, but we're gonna give you 3
Yeah.
because we can. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like some of the, I don't want to say toxic masculinity because that's not a thing. And what I'm saying could apply to the women as well. Like the whole like, gotta be macho, gotta shake it off. Like, A, no, you don't. And it's kind of a damaging mentality. B, you're not working in a WWE that needs that.
Yeah. It
So
says
hope everybody's okay.
from what I
LA
have
Knight,
here, they said thankfully it would appear that the former WWE champion was not seriously hurt during the spot. Talking about Drew, they said
yeah,
luckily
okay.
everybody is healthy. I think Priest got a tooth that he's hoping will stay inside of his head for a
Oh,
couple of
yeah.
days here and get solid again. Other than that, Drew
That's what it was.
McIntyre a little
Drew got a
banged up, but
concussion.
totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drew was suspected of a concussion, and Damien had the tooth thing.
Yeah.
Teeth stuff is fucked up, dude, because it sounds like as soon as you think teeth, you think, oh, it's small, right? But like your mouth is
Yeah.
kind of important. Just ask
Exactly.
Sasha Banks. Uh,
Got to get ahead
but no,
somehow.
ooh, you can take the A out of that. Anyways, moving swiftly on. What I will say, and they need to rectify this because it's sort of been a problem that's been creeping up for a little while now. What happens with this is you got now Solo, Jacob, Jeff Cobb, wherever that story goes. You got Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre that clearly aren't done with each other. LA Knight is really lost in the shuffle now.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do to him other than turning him heel or moving him to Raw.
Kind of at this time, it feels like more
Because
steps
we know
backwards.
supposedly supposedly in and around that time where they're in Tampa for like 4 days, apparently there's going to be a draft around that time. They got to do some shifting around again. If SmackDown's going back to 2 hours, then you need to shift a couple of bodies over to Raw, or else nobody's going to get any spots.
Yeah, certainly.
um I don't know, like LA Knight, it's kind of been like LA Knight is a guy that everybody likes. Everybody wants to do the yeah and the let me talk to you and all that kind of thing. But underneath that is not anything that he's lacking.
No.
But underneath that is okay, but what are we actually doing with him?
Yeah, there's a lack of substance, and he was
Yeah.
more over. I feel like back in late 23, early 24, when he first like came to SmackDown, and people were everybody was doing the yeah thing. When we went to Dynamite and to the premiere of Collision and all that, people were doing the yeah chant more than anything there for
Oh yeah.
AEW. So he was far more
People were
over
doing the
early
yeah
on.
during Edge's when I was in Toronto for Edge's retirement
Yep.
match, quote unquote, versus Sheamus. People were yahing through that main event. Now, I'm not saying that's the greatest thing in the world because it's probably not the most respectful thing in the world, but like he's over. People
Better
like
than the
him.
what chant, I'll give you that much.
It's true. But it is one of those things where it's very easy to get on board with him if you think that WWE is also on board with him, because then you think again, you get back to that investment conversation. You want to invest in somebody that you think is going to be rewarded. And as soon as it looks like the company doesn't know what they're doing with him,
Yeah.
it gets harder to latch onto him through no fault of his own, through no lack of caring of the fans. It's just like, show us you're doing something with him so we can get excited about you doing something.
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
Well, that was the thing with Lyra. See, now it made it seem
I
like
thought
she
this
was
was
going
match
to.
of the night.
It was a very good match, and
Mm.
it probably was match of the night. Lyra did a great job here. Her retaining was a surprise because it really seemed like
Mm.
they were just gonna put it on Becky and let her run with it. But they can do Becky and Bailey without her having the title. It just seemed like the women's IC title was moving hands, if anything, and thankfully that wasn't
I
the
was
choice.
I was all set this weekend to say, especially on the mic, that the best up and coming babyface they've got on the mic is Lyra Valkyria until we saw Miles Bourne.
Yes, he was fantastic. So I mean, we'll get into that
Now, I
eventually
was going
with
to say,
NXT, but
not that Miles Bourne is an asshole, but there is a connected story with that is being saved for tomorrow night. So once again, tune in tomorrow night for Everybody's an Asshole.
absolutely.
Um, but quick shout out to Miles Bourne for an amazing win last week, an amazing promo this week, amazing match against Ethan Page to kind of confirm his number one contendership.
Absolutely, and then having Ethan Page play into his old feud with Saints, there's a lot
Yep.
of good going on in NXT. This week's
I'm sure
episode
they're
was not as great as other weeks have been because it's still a
building
lot of
blocks though.
building. Yeah, this was a lot of building this time. So
This I was kind of like in and out of this episode of NXT, I'm not gonna lie. Not from a I'm not excited point of view, but from an I'm going to be very excited point of
yes,
view.
it's more
Like
of like I
I
appreciate
feel it coming.
now what's coming
Yeah.
later. Yeah, the battleground's going to be excellent, and then next
Yeah.
week should be damn
I wouldn't
good. But this
I'm
week was
okay,
to build the
here's
next
me.
few weeks.
Here's me that likes long pay-per-views, right? That wishes the pay-per-views were a bit longer, that kind of bitches about the 5-match card. For NXT, for Battleground, I would be happy with the 4 matches that we've got.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And
Now, please throw on the North American Championship match, and please throw in some other stuff as well. Looks like Tatum Paxley is going crazy without her friends there, which is a thing, I guess.
which is a
Oh,
good thing. One, you're using her, and two, you're saying things in the right way. There was somebody else that lost somebody that they were talking about too later on.
oh, Lash Legend was there just randomly hanging out with Lola Vice, and Lola Vice was playing the part of Jakara Jackson.
Yeah,
I thought that was a misfire, like
that
a
was
little
a
bit whatever.
very
I think
strange thing.
the Tatum Paxley thing served two purposes, right? Again, it goes back to that. Look, we know the fans aren't idiots. We know the fans know that people were released. We're going to address it on air. We're going to try to incorporate it if we
Into
can.
a
But
story, yeah.
also, but for the people that were worried, like, what are they going to do with Tatum now that 2/3 of her group are gone? Here she is on TV. She's still here,
I think they
and
reinforced
it
that
sounds
worry,
yeah, it
being
sounds
pushed
simple, but
away. It is simple
yeah.
because they basically said to fans, "Hey, we not only acknowledge that that people are gone,
Mm.
so we're going to make light of that, but we're also going to go ahead and show you that hey, these people will be okay. They're not stuck in
And you know what it
catering."
is? Like I never want to say that like one person should benefit from another person losing their job because that's kind of shit, right? But if they can mold it in such a way where this character that's already kind of crazy has just lost her two best friends and that's going to cause her to go further down the rabbit hole and get more crazy or turn heel and get herself more time on television, maybe take out a champion or two and get herself into something, you kind of are making a good situation out of a pretty shit situation.
No doubt
Also,
about it.
I'm gonna plug Destiny again because it's what I do. Cora Jade, or I guess I should say Alana Black, now is gonna be at Destiny when I go to Destiny for Summer Heat.
That's
Check out
great for
Summer
her.
Heat. Check out Summer Heat. Everybody's fucking gonna be there.
Well,
Godfather's gonna be there. Cora Jade's gonna be there. Moose is gonna be there. Dijak is our champion. Casey Navarro is our mid card champion. Aaliyah is our women's champion. I think we've also got Leon Slater on the card, and like I say, guest Hall of Fame appearance by the Godfather. If
yeah,
you're in the
can't beat
GTA,
that.
oh, and you can check on Destiny. I've forgotten the name, but like 50% of the profits from the tickets to this show are going to some mental health charity. I don't
Even
have my
better.
Twitter in front of me right
That's
now.
awesome though
So
if they're doing
great
that.
wrestling, great cause. If you're in the GTA, please check out Destiny. You'll see me there. Come up to me and tell me I'm an obnoxious asshole, but at least you'll be doing it for a cause.
Exactly.
Um,
And especially going for, helping out charity. It's a great cause.
yeah,
The one thing that I wanted to know about Backlash that people were talking
what's up?
about didn't even happen on the show itself. We knew that John Cena was going to retain. We weren't sure how they were going to do this, and it wasn't a great match. It was an okay story. It
Mhm.
was decently done. Could it have been better? Much. Was it terrible? No. It was entertaining, and they gave you a little bit of hope, but not much.
You know what it is? People are gonna get sick of me saying this, but we complained about John Cena Randy Orton matches for years because they were exactly this. So there is a nostalgic factor to me sitting back and sort of rolling my eyes a little bit because this is what John Cena and Randy Orton did, but also watching people performatively get frustrated like you didn't know that that's exactly what this.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were going to get the entire time,
Yeah.
absolutely. So what has me
It's exactly what
more
we got before. It's exactly what we got 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They showed the first time they ever fought in OVW in one of the
yeah.
video packages, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, going all the way
Um,
back to the prototype, certainly.
but like realistically, and I'm not saying that the match is 5 stars in the Tokyo Dome, brother. But you know what? It was better for not being that because it was Randy Orton and John Cena one more time. And you know what you got? John Cena versus Randy Orton one more time.
You did get that, and then afterwards is really where I was getting to with the table
Oh, in
spot,
the press
not
conference.
heard
Yeah.
around the world. So Cena comes in, he interrupts Triple
Mhm.
H, and then R-Truth basically comes in and gives him a backwards compliment, a little
Mhm.
insulting, and Cena, says
I knew
there's
you
gonna
could do it. I knew
be
you could do it. No matter who says you suck and you can't wrestle. He calls him
exactly,
Ron. It's
and
the stupid. Okay, it's the stupidest pop in wrestling, and it will never not get a pop. Is wrestlers being called by their real names?
oh, absolutely.
Like when Vince came out and called the Undertaker Mark. When I don't know what's another. Well, I
Dwayne,
mean that
yeah.
now. Yeah, well, the Dwayne thing he kind of brings on himself now. Same thing with Triple H being called Paul,
Yeah,
but
but not at that point. And the whole thing
oh,
here
when
is
somebody calls the Miz Mike, because there's something. Okay, as somebody whose middle name is Michael, I there's something about the name Mike.
just
I don't know. I know a lot of people, like people in my own family, that like voluntarily go by their middle name. I might go by Michael. Sure, why not? Uh, I never have, but I think I would. I think I would like bristle if somebody called me Mike.
yeah, I get that. So, same thing with
But
Jacob. And
yeah,
I get what Bully Ray said. I get where he's coming from because there was no reaction to it in the conference room there. He said it sounded like somebody knocked over an ashtray. Like there was just really anticlimactic. And I kind of agree. Like he either should have went nuts, not just putting him through a table, but he should have beat the living shit out of him in front of everybody if they're really trying to get this heel John over. Because it
mm,
was 1 AA, he walks away, that's your punishment. It didn't
yeah.
feel again, it was very anticlimactic, and on top of it, it doesn't really set up a story where I wanna see R-Truth beat up Cena, it
Well,
doesn't
supposedly they're doing it at Saturday night's main event.
supposedly, and
I mean,
if
and again, it'll be like in a really weird way. It'll be like the longest story they could tell because how long has our Truth been doing the old my hero John Cena,
yeah, my
my
childhood
childhood hero,
hero.
whatever. It'll be fun. He'll get killed. I mean,
Because basically we know
I don't
from
know.
here he's gonna be this upcoming week, not this weekend, next weekend, May 25th, he'll be at Saturday night's main event. Then the 30th, the 13th, and 20th, John's gonna be on SmackDown. Past those
Yeah.
those 4 dates, we have 17 appearances left for John. That's it.
Supposedly, I heard something, and I don't know how true this is because we've been speculating, like, oh, after Survivor Series, they'll do like what they kind of like what AEW did for Sting. Like
Yeah.
they won't do a regular December pay-per-view, but they'll do like a John Cena's last match thing.
Mhm.
Apparently, they're right now the plan is to do John Cena's last match at a Saturday night's main event in Boston
In
in December.
Boston, yeah, and that'll be the last thing that
That's
he has.
weird. I mean, it's gonna be like probably the best tickets sold for a Saturday night's main
Oh,
event.
I'm
So
sure, but
good,
but
good on
eh,
them for
that'll be
that.
the
But
last show to close out the year. They wanna make Saturday night's main event a big deal, and John gets to close it out in his home state,
and I
hometown.
guess like, I mean, we don't have pay per views anymore. But like, if there's people that out there that aren't on Netflix for whatever reason, WWE can come at it from the perspective of John Cena's last match is something so important. We wanted no barriers to entry. Anybody with a TV can watch it,
Yeah,
and there is something nice to that.
certainly
There
with the
is there is
network
there
cable
there is a
side of
nice
it.
thought to that, yeah. But no, the thing about R Truth, and I agree that they should have done it in the ring or there should have been a bigger uproar backstage.
Yeah.
Thing about it
Because everybody loves
is
R-Truth, so I figured it'd be easy to drum up
okay.
some controversy, but
You're bringing up my exact point, right? If John Cena had done it in the ring, like if John Cena had won the match, Randy Orton is pissed off, but he leaves, and R-Truth runs into the ring, tries to like high five him. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I could help you. Da, 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 da. Gets FU'd like through a table, through the commentator table or whatever. What's the first thing that happens?
what?
Everybody boos.
Oh, yeah, the crowd would go nuts.
Everybody would go nuts, right? Because they're booing John Cena, but also they're supporting R-Truth. And R-Truth has that support to fall back on in what would be his saddest moment, right?
Yeah.
The fact that he did it to R-Truth away from the fans means he didn't even get that support.
Mm.
Psychologically strategic by John Cena. That's me adding meaning to it. I'm not saying that's the story they're telling, but that was my first thought. It's like, okay, this is the saddest moment of this character's like fictional life,
Yeah.
and there weren't even any fans there to perk him up afterwards. And I think there's a way that they could spin that where that makes it even more tragic.
Yeah.
I don't know
And
that that's why they did it, but I think they just wanted it to have all the reporters be like performatively silent. Oh my god, I can't believe what just happened. We've
I
never seen an AA through a table before.
you needed the booze, you needed the reaction, you needed the
Yeah,
people to do something. It was like everybody jumping on Seth Rollins' new group as being the high rise because they put the patent out for it and then ends up being Wes Lee's group. So people always jump the gun for things.
sorry, what?
But
What? Say that again.
on Monday there was the patent put out for the group called the High Rise, and we know now after watching NXT that the High Rise is Wesley's new, their faction name.
What?
So
Wes and Tyson and Tyreek?
yes,
I missed that.
yeah, they're called the High
What?
Rise.
Did they
So
announce that?
they came out on NXT last night. Yeah, it was a brief thing
I know.
before
I know
his
he had. I know he
match.
had the match with Tony D.
Yes,
I
so
must have. Was it in
it
the
was
ring? They said that.
no, it was during their entrance. They showed a new graphic for them being the High Rise, RYZE. So
Oh God.
yeah, so
Everything's a Y and a Z because it's the '90s all over again.
right, and I don't hate the name, but there's like these two tall, towers in the background
Please
crumbling,
don't.
and
Please don't say Twin Tower.
no, but they're
because
they're
no, because no,
similar
because
looking.
no, because here's the thing, right? You got the Twin Towers and one guy in the middle that flies around like a plane.
Yeah,
That's not good. Let's
not
not
good. I
do
get what
that.
they're going for, calling the men behind him
Yeah.
as the big.
Oh, I get
I
it.
get
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
The skyscraper, same idea. But people
Focus
thought
on all the backup he's got rather than him himself.
everybody jumped on it Monday before Raw, saying that, oh, this has to be the new faction for Seth Rollins. That's got to be their name. And they were bitching about it and tearing it apart. And I'm like, give it a chance. Let's see what
Yeah,
it's for.
yeah. I, I I'm not gonna lie. I don't love it.
It's not great, but
No.
there's been much worse. But for Wesley, for now, it works.
Okay, there was a pay-per-view called Great Balls of Fire. There's like the argument of there's been worse is sort of a last string. I get it, and you're not wrong, but it's sort of a last string argument because if all you can say is it's not the worst,
Yeah.
retribution.
It's not. And then you also have WWE pushing because they have the Peacock NBC deals that
Yeah.
basically there's a solid chance that things will be renewed before the current deal lapses. But they're saying that the option isn't. A lot of people in WWE hate the fact that you have to split the program across multiple places. So that's being discussed as well. So maybe we will see
See, I don't get
things.
that because they were always before they switched over to streaming. They were always doing that, wasn't it? Like one was on USA, one was on Fox, one was on CW, like every
Yeah.
week.
Now they're saying in the world of streaming, it's easier
Oh,
and
okay.
more concise to have everything in the same place as their goal. So,
And I was gonna say, like, that was always I know you and I have discussed this before, but like because I'm not in America, I have a different perspective on the TV thing. Forever, like all three of their shows were on Sportsnet 360 for us. So whenever one show was like, oh, it's Fox versus USA, I'm like, yep, sure it is.
yeah, and they're saying with
Type
the
of thing.
ticket prices, part of the thing is that the reason they're going to be continued to be so expensive is that they're not doing house shows. The days of wrestling 4 to 5 times a week are gone. So now that there's less
Mhm.
shows, It's more of a supply and demand thing, so the ticket prices are not changing
Yeah, the
anytime
ticket.
soon.
When 9 times out of 10, when I say, "Hey, WWE is far from perfect," like
Yeah.
when we're shitting on AEW, let's be real for a second, and then we turn around and say AEW's far or WWE's far from perfect. 9 times out of 10, I'm talking about the ticket price.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't.
I'm
People are gonna
telling you, my
pay.
friend.
People are gonna pay, and it is what it is. I know you can't get down to Evolution if the rumors about that are true, but shout out to Anthony from the Wrestling for Life guys channel who is in that area and sounds like he is going. So hopefully
Yeah.
he has a good time. Um,
Hopefully he has a
you know
great
what?
time. It seems like
Honestly,
it's gonna be a hell of a
like
show.
and I become like I can't be as much of a hypocrite as I am without also being honest about being a hypocrite. I've done the video or the pod a while back saying why I don't think Evolution is necessary or Evolution 2 is necessary.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, if they were doing Evolution 2 in Toronto, I would fucking have a ticket the day they went on sale.
Yeah, I was looking
Cause
forward to it, I was hoping, and now they
yeah,
moved it to somewhere near Texas, I guess, so
and apparently WWE using less than half of their roster to put a ladies pay-per-view together is a big threat to All In.
yeah. I mean,
I'm just
they already
saying.
have Saturday night's main event going up against that, for All In Texas. Now they have
The
this on
only thing
Sunday.
the only thing funnier because there's the one thing and you know what? For the sake of the ladies on that roster, I hope it gets better. The one thing that even AEW fans will admit is they got to get up off their ass and they got to like promote more women, promote more women's matches, have more women's matches on the show, etc. Um, it is what it is. And when the guys on the opposite side of the line are still agreeing with you, then you must have a point, right? We talk about it ad nauseum. I
Yeah.
still say the funniest, like, let me throw my dick up on the table thing that WWE could do would be host Evolution 3 in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, no kidding. That would be the
Because it's
biggest
like
slap in the face.
it because it would still have all the controversy attached to it. Always, we can't like completely throw a blind eye to that, right?
Yeah.
But it really would be the like, hey Tony, you have no excuse.
No, not at this point.
But yeah, um, getting back to it though, Backlash was good, solid. Oh, it was made for WWE fans. Well, that's cool because I'm a WWE fan. Uh, Gunther Pat was interesting. Gunther's getting back into the. Oh, we should talk about this. The rematch that Gunther is getting for his world title match versus whoever wins out of Jay and Logan Paul. I mean, it's going to be Jay. Let's be real for a second. The rematch for Gunther against Jay for his title is the Monday after Money in the Bank.
Yeah. He's
A
going
lot,
for that title, and now a lot is happening at Money in the Bank as well. So
a lot of people are saying that that match happening the Monday after Money in the Bank solidifies that Sami Zayn is going to win Money in the Bank.
yeah,
So,
which I
do we
mean, I've
do
heard
do
Braun
we
Breaker.
but do we have Sami Zayn like, here's the thing, though. Do we have Sami Zayn cash in on champion Gunther, which means you've already beaten Jey Uso, which is kind of counterproductive, and take another title off Gunther? Or do we have Sami Zayn cash in and turn on his brother and go heel and be the third guy with Rollins, maybe something like that? Or does he cash in and do we get a really interesting triple threat of Gunther, Jay, Sammy? Because
Yeah,
both of them want to take a strip off of Gunther, right?
exactly.
But there's going to be that moment in the triple threat where they take out Gunther and they're like, shit, now we got to fight each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now we're
I
face to
It's
face.
very interesting because they haven't like AEW used to do this quite a bit. WWE doesn't do it as much. Like WWE gets you hyped about stuff and say, "Hey, this is on the horizon." But I can't remember the last time they advertised a particular episode of Raw this many weeks out.
Yeah.
If it wasn't like an anniversary, whatever, obviously
Yeah,
the exception.
exactly.
But like the fact that they're advertising this particular match on this particular Raw this many weeks in advance, they want eyes on that episode. They want butts in those seats. Something's gonna happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would be really funny is, you talk about what we talked about before about stealing glory from Jacob Fatu by Solo and now Jeff Cobb. Wouldn't it be funny, Sammy, even though he's got the money in the bank, even though he's cashing in money in the bank, which is kind of a cheat to some people, right? Wouldn't it be funny if Rollins and Breaker came down during that triple threat match, took out Sammy, took out Jay, took out Gunther, put unconscious Sammy on top of unconscious Jay? Sammy's the champion. Sammy's finally attained a world title, the one thing that's been eluding him his entire life, and it's tainted because he didn't really earn it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the ultimate kick in the nuts from Rollins to Sammy?
It would be crazy.
I think there's a lot of mental gymnastics that have to happen for that to work. But yeah, but Backlash was good. I really enjoyed Maple Leaf Pro. I encourage people in other parts of the world, if you didn't check it out, go check it out. I think it's on Triller. There's a lot of stuff coming up.
There is so
Like
much.
like a fuck ton of stuff. There's like 3 or 4 Saturday night's main events
Yeah.
announced.
Well, we got Saturday
There's
night's main event, and then obviously Battleground the same weekend as Double or Nothing.
there's
Uh,
Battleground, there's
Worlds
Worlds Collide,
Collide,
there's
Money
Money
in
in
the
the Bank,
Bank,
there's Clash in Paris, there's Night of Champions.
the 2-night SummerSlam, obviously, Evolution 2.
2 Night SummerSlam is kind of like the flag on the hill right now because I feel like something gigantic is going to happen there, but I can't put my finger on what it is. And that's awesome.
Yeah. And you know what? It's only getting better, my friend.
It is only getting better. And like we said going into WrestleMania, we said kind of at Royal Rumble time, like, oh, it's about time something like totally what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
And kind of Jey Uso winning the Rumble and going up against Gunther was that. I think they've kind of got a mini version of that on NXT right now with Miles Bourne going up against Oba.
Yeah.
Kind of a similar underdog story. Like I say, there's a different side to that story we're going to address tomorrow night that's kind of
Yeah,
pissing me off,
that
but
it
it
fits,
is what it
but
is. But yeah, something really wildly like Vikingo shows up and I don't know, kicks Vikingo is the one to dethrone John Cena, and it happens at Triple Mania,
you
and
know,
that's John Cena's last match.
having John wrestle at Triple Mania would be crazy.
It would,
I mean, I
and it's
still
and
hope we
it's
get to see him in TNA versus Hendry.
oh my
That's
goodness,
the
yeah.
big go-to, you know?
Yeah.
Certainly.
So who? Oh my God, here it is. Here it is. Fantasy booking up to 2-9, right? Superstar tag team match on night
Mm.
1 of SummerSlam. Night 1, because I'm saving night 2 for something else. We'll talk about it on a different day.
Yes.
Night 1 main event of SummerSlam. Because none of the main events for SummerSlam are established by something else. It's not like the Rumble winner, the Chamber winner, etc. So the main event can be whatever you want, right?
It could be. It was
John
whatever
John
your
C-
dream content you can have.
John Cena and The Rock versus R-Truth and Joe Hendry.
You know, there's rumors that The Rock and John's paths are still going to cross, and they're going to be adding somebody else to Seth's group, so you can always have something there. There's a lot of what if scenarios going around,
I love
and
being The Rock. I would love to be The Rock right now because The Rock can just walk around with 2 middle fingers up all the time. Because if he shows up, they tell him to go fuck himself, and if he
yeah,
doesn't show up, they tell him to go fuck himself. So he's like, "Well, clearly you're going to tell me to go fuck myself regardless. So here's 2 for you." Anyways, it's getting tired in here, and Spaz is losing his voice. Why don't you tell them where to find you?
you can find me on YouTube, Jake Countdown and DeMarco. You can find me on Twitter, on Rumble, or on Instagram at Countdown Ended, and you can find me on here talking this great stuff with you, my good man.
We're going to do it tomorrow night because we're going to decide right now that life's not going to kick you in the face to take you away from me.
Yeah, not 2 days in a row.
Pause. Anyway, not 2 weeks in a row. Anyway, um, Yeah, that was awkward. So I'm gonna quickly say, you guys know where to find me, or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. This has been Super Sexy Jake DeMarco. This has been the State of Wrestling. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.
Wrestling forever.
Yay!